I took my father's name off the shop my brother tells buyers he built. My dad opened Callahan & Sons Woodworks in 1987. Furniture, cabinets, custom stuff. He put both our names on the paperwork when I turned 18 because I was the one in the shop with him every day. My brother Dylan was the & Sons part on paper only. He went to school for marketing, moved to the city, called on holidays. When his hands got too shaky to hold a chisel, I did the builds and he sat on his stool telling me what I was doing wrong. He passed in 2023. I kept the shop running alone. Here's the thing. About a year before Dad died, Dylan's marketing job dried up and he came back to town. Said he wanted to help with the business side. I let him. He built a website, set up the online store, started answering emails. A woman came to pick up a dining table in March. Beautiful piece, walnut. I'd spent 3 weeks on it. She runs her hand over it and goes, "Your brother told me he designed this himself. He's so talented." I just kind of laughed and said, "Dylan doesn't build. I build. He does the computer stuff." She looked confused, like I was the one lying. It kept happening. A guy on the phone said Dylan said he's been woodworking his whole life. Another told me Dylan walked him through his process for a bookshelf I made with my own 2 hands. Dylan was in the office the whole time, on his laptop. I confronted him one evening after we closed. I said, "You're telling people you build the furniture." He didn't even flinch. He goes, "I'm building the brand, man. Customers want to meet the craftsman. It's a story. It sells." I said, "I'm the craftsman." He said, "Nobody's buying from a guy who won't return an email. They're buying from a personality. That's me. You do the labor, I do the value. The labor." That's what he called it. I asked him to just tell the truth. He said the truth was bad for margins. Then he said something I keep hearing in my head. He said, "Honestly, half these designs I could have done myself. You're not exactly Da Vinci." I didn't say anything. I went home. So here's what he didn't know. When Dad set up the LLC, he named me managing member. Dylan was never added as an owner. He'd never asked, and I'd never told him because it never came up. The business, the name, the accounts, the trademark Dad filed on Callahan & Sons back in '99, all of it ran through me. I spent a weekend going through everything. The website, the business cards, the sign out front, the maker's mark I burn into the back of every piece. Dad's name was on all of it, and Dylan had spent a year telling strangers that name was his. Monday morning, I filed to rename the business, dropped & Sons, just Callahan Woodworks. Then I registered a new name as a DBA, my own first name and last name, and moved every account, every listing, every order under it. I changed the maker's mark. I called our 3 biggest commercial clients myself and told them the shop had restructured and gave them my direct line. Dylan found out Thursday when a client forwarded him an invoice with a new name on it. He came into the shop white. "You can't just take the name. Dad built that name." I said, "Dad built it, not you. And you told everyone I didn't build the furniture, so I made sure the furniture doesn't have your name near it." He said, "This is my family's business too." I pulled up the operating agreement on my phone and turned it around. "You were an employee I paid, and I just laid you off." He said Dad would be ashamed of me. I said Dad watched me sand my knuckles raw for 20 years. He'd be ashamed of the guy in the office calling it labor. He said the customers came for him, his personality, his story. So I called the walnut table woman, the one who thought he designed it, put her on speaker, asked her real casual if she'd buy from us again, knowing the same guy who built her table still ran the shop, just under a different name. She said, "Of course, as long as it's the one who does the actual woodwork." Dylan grabbed his jacket off the hook. He's telling people now that I stole the family name. Every piece that leaves my shop has my mark burned in the back of it, and not one of them says Dylan.